118055. How to look after your cat perfectly.
Woke up this morning, closed in on all sides, nothing doing. I feel resistance as I open my eyes. Someone's moving. I found a way to break through this late night, 'cause I know what's going on. Am I living in a box? Am I living in a cardboard box? Am I living in a box? Am I living in a cardboard box? Am I living in a box?
Well, what do you reckon to all this then?
Well, it's all very good.
It was nice of you to come into Green Assembly earlier on and join us for coffee and toast and whatnot.
Yeah.
But you're actually here.
We are.
Now, let me just quickly introduce you in case you didn't get the intros earlier. This is Richard Derbyshire. They are, of course, living in a box all together.
We are, in
Richard.
fact, living in a box.
Right. Over here we have Titch. Do I have to call you Titch or is it Anthony?
Well, most people know me by Titch. I think you ought to speak to it.
Titch Critchlow! It's a great name. Titch Talks, your old clocks. That
That's
used to
right,
make.
yeah, I used to make clocks when I was a couple of years younger.
Wonderful. And I think I've actually got one of those clocks at home. I couldn't quite put that in my case this morning.
I hope
Bring
it's
it
still
in.
going.
Yes, it is. And Marcus Veer here. You don't have a funny name that we should know you by.
No,
It's
mine's
plain
just Marcus.
Marcus. Well, I know there are lots of questions that people are waiting to ask you on the phones. But before we go
Right.
to the phones, can I just show some photographs
Ugh.
here? Well, in magazines, in all the sort of pop magazines, you will have seen some very beautiful photographs of these fellows because they photograph well. You know, they're good-looking chaps. Well, I managed to snap these guys. We were all lucky enough last May to be at the rock festival in Montreux. These chaps were playing there very successfully. And here are the most unflattering pictures you've ever seen. Now, can you see
could have
these?
extracted
Here
this.
you are. Now, look, that's a good picture, isn't it? Here we are. That's one of Titch looking
yeah.
tired.
You
and
could have made some
emotional.
money out of blackmail out of that, so.
Yes, I could have done it. And here's one. Now, this is Marcus. This is possibly the worst photograph I've ever seen of you.
That's really horrible.
Why are you
isn't it?
doing
Yeah.
this?
But the worst
No,
thing,
no, no,
the
please.
worst thing is, Richard, that the one I took of you, because I did take one of you.
Oh, no.
Well, it was so horrendous. It was just a complete and utter blob.
Oh, no.
It didn't even come out. But I'm sorry about that. And as you can see,
Never
it
mind,
is
at
my
least I've not been
photography,
publicly
not
embarrassed
these
today.
chaps. No, we're not going to publicly embarrass you, unless, of course, the phones don't work.
No, right, let's have a look, shall we?
Hello. Anybody on the line waiting to ask a question? We have Kirsten.
Hello.
You're our very first person on Going Live to phone in to us, and you've managed to get through. Many congratulations. You deserve some sort of a prize for that, I think. Kirsten, you have a question for the boys for living in a box.
Which member of Living in the Box chose the name?
That's me, I'm afraid, Kirsten. It's after a friend of mine who lives in Sheffield in a bit of a sad state in a not very well renovated house, and we just sort of called ourselves after that.
Because he lived in a box, you see, it was like he was living in a box.
That's it.
Although his house wasn't made out of cardboard, but he was in a really rotten state, and the song was called Living in a Box as well, all about him.
That answers your question now. Thanks a lot, Kirsten. Well done for getting through. Well done.
Can I have your...
Well,
Certainly.
actually, Kirsten, I've got a bit of a secret to tell you later on about autographs, but I can't tell anybody else now. I'll tell you later on if you're watching. I won't tell them, Philip. We've got a bit of a secret for you later on, so wait for that. Now we have Sian on line 2.
Hello?
Sian, you got through. Hello, where are you calling from?
Wolverhampton.
From Wolverhampton. What's your question?
Why is Titch called Titch?
Well,
Stand up, Titch.
No,
You can see he's really short,
not
isn't he?
Yeah, fortunately, I've put it on a few inches. But when I was younger, a lot of Antonies around where I used to live, and I was the titch of the block, and so it's a bit of a drummer's name as well. You know, Cosy and Ginger and Butch and stuff like that. So it just stuck really as a drummer's name.
Could you say hello to Kerry, my sister?
Hello, Kerry. Hello, Kerry.
Hello.
Thanks a lot, Sian. Claire on line 3.
Right.
Hello, Claire Moore. What's your question?
Richard, what was your favourite lesson when you were in school?
My favourite lesson when I was at school, I think it's probably art, actually. And I used to like reading books. I liked English very much, but my worst was definitely maths. So never ask me questions about adding anything up.
You, in fact, were at school in all sorts of different places,
Yeah, that's
weren't you?
right,
Because
yeah.
most people go from baby school to junior school
Yeah, right,
to, you
yeah.
know, to secondary school, and then whatever. But you've been at school all over the world.
All
haven't
over
you?
the place, yes. I've been school in Reading, Manchester,
Yes.
Tokyo, in fact, yes.
Well, that was a bit of a move, wasn't it, between
was
Manchester
a
and
long
Tokyo?
move, yes.
Why was that?
My mum and dad used to have a job out there. So I worked out there for a bit, taught English, believe it or not, while I was at school. All very impressive.
Good Lord, a teacher. You ought to be good at English then, hadn't he, really?
Lost my job very quickly, so we won't mention that.
We've got Emma on line 4. Thanks for your call, Claire. Emma, good morning.
Hello.
Welcome to Going Live. What's your call?
Where did you and your band first meet?
Well, I met Titch about 3 years ago, didn't I?
That's right.
And,
we were up in Sheffield, and
Just play along with them a bit.
Just
We're
sit
not
down
who
there,
they
just take
are.
no notice of those two horrible
We're
balls.
having to humour them and just be very kind to them.
we fell over each other in a recording studio, a little 8-track demo in Sheffield, and Richard was working up there at the same time, and we just collaborated from there on Living in a Box.
Yep, we all met up in Sheffield 2 years ago now.
It must be quite difficult putting together, though, if they'd already known each other as mates and they'd written music and then you came along. Did you just meld straight in, or does it take a while to get a sort of corporate style together?
It was actually quite easy because the first thing that happened was that I had a track which was Living in a Box, and they said, "Do you fancy singing on this?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And it was actually it took us about 3 minutes to get the group together because it was like we all loved the
worked
same
out
sort of
straight away,
music.
didn't it?
Do you think it was
Yeah,
perhaps
great.
fate? Do you think it was meant to happen? Do you believe in that sort of
Well,
thing?
sometimes you tend to think so. I mean, we were really lucky, really lucky to get together and get what we got out of it.
I mean, we could have hated each other, couldn't we? So
Yes.
we were
I'll
see
quite
you
lucky there.
afterwards.
See you later.
I me old.
That's what I call a comprehensive answer there. Who's next? Joanne, are you there?
Yes.
Good
hello.
morning, Joanne. Nice to talk to you. What's your question?
When did you first get started?
Well, we've all been playing music quite a long time. We met, as I've just said, a couple of years ago, but I've been playing music for about 5 or 6 years now. So it's quite a long process, really, but it's really over just the last year that we've been putting records out and obviously been successful. So comparatively short process for the group, really.
Short process, and within a short time you've become remarkably successful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for talking on the phone for the moment.
Well, thank you.
And I know that you're going to actually do your number. Do your number
That's
in a minute.
right.
So
Hit
the
it for you.
story goes. I hope
That's
it
it.
does as well as Scales of Justice and Living in a Box. But you very kindly brought some prezzies in.
We did
Some
indeed.
prizes, and here they are.
Here we are.
We've got personal stereo with some cassettes that are going to be story cassettes. Get it? For So the Story Goes. There's a
Very
little,
good,
little tenuous
very
link
good.
there.
Oh,
We've
yes.
got a limited edition, I understand.
Oh, these are
These are
fabulous.
actually a limited edition. Will you explain what that means exactly?
You got the first 6, didn't you? I think.
Incorporated
Yeah.
in these, you get a cassette package of the new single and three
We'll give you one that hasn't been opened.
Three
by the
signed
way.
photos of the band and some little curious badges in there. So
Some
it's a
curious
rather-
badges and some good photographs, not
Yes,
like the
and
ones
nice
that I
photos,
took. I'll
not
tell you
nice
what, you
photos.
can't just have these for nothing. You have to work hard for these, and I'm going to give you a question in a minute. While you go and set up on the
Okay,
stage,
okay.
we've got Tessa over there.
Yeah.
You singer up there. Hello, Tessa. See you
Come
later.
on,
We'll
love.
have a natter in
Come
a
on,
minute.
it's our time to perform now.
It's time for you to go to work while I just get the question sorted out. Now, So the Story Goes is the new single. We've got stories as a cassette, so we had to think of a question which had the word story in it. So this is it. How many stories are there, as in floors, how many stories are there above ground level in London's National Westminster Tower block? Bit of research involved there. How many stories are there above ground level in London's National Westminster Tower block? Answers on a postcard, please, to Going Live, BBC Television, London W12 8QT.